We're going to start for today. This is the last day of the second week of the summer school. Like the last few days, I think the students will drop in, in the next few minutes, gradually. So, like we did 10 years ago on our first summer school on knowledge, reasoning, and decision making. Today is a day for cognitive architectures and its relation to the knowledge, reasoning, and decision making. So we have four talks today. I'm going to present them a little bit, but as we did for all the the previous days, I've been asked to do like a general presentation of what are cognitive architectures and so on. So we should see that. So the idea for cognitive architecture started way back in the 1970s, 1973, when Alan Newell was the main researcher behind the idea of cognitive architectures. Noticed that there was like a problem in cognitive science, in modeling and cognitive sciences. Modeling is very important in cognitive science. We make hypotheses about the mechanisms behind cognition, and to evaluate or study those mechanisms, we have different ways. We can do experimentation on humans, which is not always allowed by the police, but we can also do models, computational models, and test those models. And what he noticed is that there was this number of dichotomies that people had settled on. People would do models, where this aspect of cognition was believed to be from central processing. Those would put that in peripheral processing, and so on for a number. I just put, what fitted in that place that I had on the page here. Just a little subset of all the different dichotomies that were present at the time, but still today in cognitive science to model cognition. And all these different choices became different, or came from different general approaches that people would adhere to. Sometimes those were seen as sometimes as it could be collaboration between the different approaches, but the problem that Newell identified is that that's the gist of the paper. It was that current efforts are not contributing to an integrated theory of cognition. We had a lot of models of cognition. Not all of them could be joined together into a general integrated approach of cognition, which led to kind of theoretical myopia. Just to put it in the words, to quote him from 1973, we see that it's an old paper, which was typewritten. The third alternative paradigm I have in mind that Newell is talking here in 1973 is to stay with the diverse collection of smart experimental tasks as now, but to construct a single program to perform them all. This single system, this model of the human information processor, would have to take the instructions for each of these tasks, as well as carry out the task. For it must truly be a single system in order to provide the integration that we seek. Over the years, this grew, and in 1990, 20 years almost later, he published this book, which is usually recognized as the launch of the idea of cognitive architecture. So the book is from 1990. He published in Behavioral and Brain Science a précis in 92 of the book, and these two quotes are from this précis, I guess. Why strive for unified theory beyond the apple pie desire of all sciences to be unified, which was the original idea from 1973. The biggest reason is that a single system, the mind, produces behavior, as we saw previously. There are other reasons, however. Cognitive theory is radically underdetermined by data, hence as many constraints as possible are needed, and unification makes this possible. That is, architectures allow us to determine our choices for cognitive models. A unified theory is a vehicle of accumulation simply as a theoretically motivated repository. A unified theory increases identifiability components and allows theoretical constructs to be amortized over a wide base of phenomena. This was his plea for unified theories of cognition. And then he claimed unified theories of cognition will be formulated as architectures. The architecture of the mind is a major source of commonality of behavior, as was stated here, both within individual and between individuals. So that was like the original impetus for the development of cognitive architectures. There were already cognitive architectures at that time, but notably his, SOAR, and that was how the problem was launched. Two definitions for those who are not familiar with cognitive architecture. So what is it? The first one is from Paul Taggart, who was here Thursday. A cognitive architecture is a general proposal about the representation and processes that produce intelligent thought. Cognitive architectures have primarily been used to explain important aspects of human thinking, such as problem solving, memory, and learning, but they can also be used as blueprints for designing computers and robots, as we'll see today, that possess some of the cognitive abilities of humans. A different one, but I didn't actually. There are a number of definitions in the architecture. That's why I call this definition. But they all, circle around this general idea that is expressed here by those two definitions. I won't read the second one from Ransan, but it's basically the same idea. There's an important distinction. I'm a philosopher, so I don't really develop computational models of cognition. So I think it's important to distinguish between three understanding of what a cognitive architecture is. At the highest level, it's just a theoretical or conceptual idea of how how cognition is organized. I'm going to develop this example. I took it because it's a little bit outside the current, mainstream of cognitive architecture, but I think it is a cognitive architecture. It has its strengths and weaknesses. It's predictive processing or active inference. So the basic idea is that at this theoretical or conceptual level is that cognition is fundamentally predictive. It could be developed more at this level. I'm just giving the very general idea. It's only 15 minutes, and so that's general idea. So cognitive architecture can be this how you think cognition is organized. Remember that the main idea is to think about how cognition generally is organized. To produce what it produces, the behavior we observe, and the kind of thinking that we produce. In this case today, reasoning, decision-making, and knowledge. There is a computational level to understand the computational the cognitive architecture. So at the computational level, it's a formal model implementing that theory or conception of cognition. And if we stay with this example, someone who's trying to understand the mind following this general idea would say something like, there are variation in this, but cognition is a hierarchical system that performs approximate Bayesian inference through variational optimization implemented via the exchange of predictions and prediction errors between levels of the hierarchy, and with the goal of minimizing prediction error. And there are a number of schema that you could see, or a different representation of this architecture, but the general idea is computationally that's what it does. Basically, Bayesian inference, an approximation of Bayesian inference through a number of hierarchical level. And there's a software. In this case, it's not a very well-known computational software. So you have this software that you can use and build models or agents that perform cognition according to that general idea. So we put it there. It's you can get it on GitHub. You can also give like I call it the Mar-like characterization, because Mar would combine those two levels that I split here. So you have at the computational goal of the architecture. So in this case, it's minimized prediction error or free energy. There's a little difference in between the two, but I'll get into it. At the computation, the computational theory is that cognition is Bayesian inference about hidden causes. At the algorithmic and representation level, which is one of Mar's level, what the algorithms do is variational inference, and the kind of representations we get is probability densities, and the mechanism is hierarchical passing. And it would go down a level, and in this case, the mechanism has been mostly thought about in neurological terms, but we could also think about it in computation, more computational terms. From Julia here, I stole this very popular representation. So I gave you an idea, a general idea of one kind of architecture. And as I said, I decided to choose one that's not generally seen as a cognitive architecture, that is not talked too much so much about it in those terms. But you have a whole lot of cognitive architectures that have been developed over the years, over the last 40 and more than 40 years, which can be organized as Julia did, as emergent cognitive architecture, mostly neural network kind of architecture, either just connectionist or something close to cognitive computational neuroscience, or you have hybrid systems. Today we'll talk mostly, I guess, of one of those, ACTAR here, which is one of the fully integrated, that is an architecture that is both symbolic and has aspect of emergent, and there are sub-symbolic and then purely symbolic architecture. We won't get into all of these. Some of them are almost dead now, or they live in a computer somewhere in a lab in the university, and nobody uses that anymore. But some of them are still quite active, especially ACTAR, but other ones as well. There are criteria to evaluate cognitive architectures. One of the best well-known is from Anderson and Levia, the Newell test. So what should a cognitive architecture do? How should we evaluate its quality? In this case, it's you have Anderson and Lebierre's evaluation of their own ACTAR compared to classical connectionism. It's not really relevant today to compare something to classical connectionism, but this is from 2003, 20 years ago. So does it behave almost as an arbitrary function of the environment? Does it operate in real time? Does it exhibit rational, that is, effective adaptive behavior, and so on? I won't read all of them. I won't read all of them, but these are a number of criteria that you can use to evaluate cognitive architecture. And once again, it's called the Newell test for a theory of cognition. So the idea behind these evaluations is to make sure that what you propose is something that can be understood as a unified theory of cognition, and the unified theory of cognition. There are other set of lists of criteria. Oh, it's dead. We want to make it sure that well-known, those are some that are well-known. As I said, from Ranson, the director for cognitive architecture. Ranson was here for 10 years ago for the Cognitive Architecture Day. You have Elias Smith, also in his book, How to Build a Brain. He was here too.
Yeah.
Today we have 4 talks. I won't read you have here the summary, and you can find them on the website. I won't read them. So in order, we'll have a talk by Pierre Poirier following me just now. Cognitive models of information attack. Then from did you switch? Did you guys switch? You did? Okay. Perfect. I'm just a little bit behind the curve here. So we'll start with Julia, reasoning in cognitive architecture from rule-based to data-driven, and then Otalia will present the break cognitive models of information effects. Then this afternoon we'll have Nela will present why we need cognitive architecture such as ACTAR for cognitive principles that enable dynamic and flexible human AI organization interaction. Sorry. And then the last one by Christian Lebière, who was also here 10 years ago, knowledge and reasoning across the bands of cognition. As I said, I won't summarize. I won't attempt to summarize them. I'll just, to open the day, I read the abstract, and I tried to say what I think the main question they ask is important. This is not a book that I like so much, and it's a bit dated now, but the general idea that what we do in cognitive science is how the mind works, try to understand how the mind works is still quite valuable. So it's in cognitive science, we often ask a how question, how does that work? How does memory work? How does vision work? How does reasoning work? And so on. So I tried to formulate each of the presentation today in terms of a why question. So now we would have a how question. Now we would have to switch these two. I'll read them in the new order. So how can computational systems perform reasoning under uncertainty? How can we explain the cognitive effects of computational complex information environments, especially environments containing misinformation? How can we build generative AI system capable of robust human AI interaction? And finally, today, how can cognitive architecture unify cognition across multiple scales? So these are the very general questions we'll be asking today, but I'm sure we'll dive into way more precise questions. So I think that's it for me. Thank you, and have a good day on cognitive architectures.